Well, hello and welcome to the Creation Research Centre. Now, Creation Research has been collecting fossils and artefacts for getting on for 30 years now in the
Something
UK.
like that.
Something like that. And so we've had this collection amassed for many, many years now. And we've just got a brand new building to put them all on display. So we moved in here a few months back, and Diane, you got a little sneak peek of the building last time you were here.
Yes, I did.
But we're now underway getting it all sorted because we've got an open day coming up at the end of this week. We've got a whole group of volunteers helping us organise and get it sorted and get everything completely ready for the open day. But we're actually joined here by Dr Diane Eager, and Diane, you're one of our medical lecturers here at Creation Research.
Yes, that's right.
And you look after things like the evidence news and all that kind of stuff. So tell us a little bit about the kind of work that you do for Creation Research.
Oh, well, I'm in the biological side of things, but of course that relates to the fossils as well.
Absolutely.
Because there are such things as living fossils.
Of course. I think we ought to discuss that in a little bit.
We will talk about that in one of our programs, yes. But yes, I give lectures, I do some background research for other people's presentations within the organisation. I write for our newsletter where we just keep a watching brief on the scientific news, see what's been discovered, and help people to see it from a biblical point of view, and how what is often claimed to be evidence for evolution turns out to be really good evidence for the Bible.
Absolutely,
if they can just discern the difference between what was actually discovered and what's the story they're telling about it. So we do that, and we have a museum over in Australia as well. I'm part of that. So it's really good to be here and see the museum in the UK opening
really
up or getting ready.
Yeah, it's been great. We've been touring around with Diane Eager, and you were here a few months back and we took you through the previous building and some of the collection, but of course most of it was boxed up, and so we couldn't do a lot of it, and we lost some of the footage as well. So we thought it'd be a great idea, while we had Diane here in the UK, we thought it'd be a great idea to take you through a bit of a tour through the museum, go have a look, discuss a little bit about what the purpose of the museum is, but also start going episode through episode through a different topic, a different section, whether it be living fossils, whether it be dinosaurs, whether it be our giant fossils, whether it be human biology and all this kind of exciting stuff. So over the next few weeks we'll be putting out episode after episode of a different topic, but for now let's try and see if we can get a big picture of the work that we're trying to do here. So Diane, would you join me as we start to head through to the museum?
Yes.
It'd be fantastic. So come with us this way. Now we've actually got a great setup just as we sort of enter the building here. Come have a look at some of the fabulous things we have inside here. So we've got all our workers here, they're all getting on with the stuff that we're doing and getting ready and organising it. But as you enter in, one of the first things you're confronted with is this rather fabulous T-Rex head. So come over here, Diane. Now we've ended up giving this a name of Jemima. I don't know quite why we settled on that, but there we go. In fact, if you come round here a little bit, you get a nice sort of side profile of it. It's a big custom-made T-Rex head based off of the largest T-Rex ever discovered, which was called Sue. And these were pretty ferocious beasts, weren't they?
Well, we don't know because they're dead.
Exactly.
They have big teeth, but as to what their temperament was like, well, we don't really know.
That's the thing. When you come and see this, many times we envisage these creatures as being big, giant, horrible, slashy creatures, but the reality is most of that is actually influenced by Hollywood. So one of the things that we're going to try and do with our big dinosaurs and our models and things like this is give a slightly bigger perspective on how did these creatures live, how can we tell how these creatures lived, and what do the fossils really say? Because the reality is fossils are a record of death, not necessarily a record of life on Earth. And I know it's something that my parents struggle with, my dad in particular, who was an atheist before he became a Christian. One of the biggest questions he had was, what about the dinosaurs?
Yes, that's the question I often get thrown at me as soon as I say that I believe in creation and believe in Genesis. Oh, what about the dinosaurs? As if they've got you over a barrel just with that question.
Well, you see, unfortunately, my dad, who started going to church with Mum, he asked one of the elders, and they told him, well, dinosaurs have got these horrible sharp teeth, they've got great claws, they love to kill things. I don't think that God would create something like that. I think that the devil created dinosaurs.
Oh, my goodness.
So it's a real question, it's a real issue, it's a tough thing to kind of talk about. And we can talk about the teeth and the sharp things, and we can discuss, well, just because you have sharp teeth doesn't, well, you can't really tell what an animal eats from their teeth, you can only tell how an animal eats.
That's right.
And you see examples of these all throughout biology. Now, Diane, these dinosaurs, pretty big creature, pretty serious creature. What does the word dinosaur actually mean?
Well, it just means big and terrible or big and fearful lizard, right? So it's a saurus is just another name for a type of reptile. And interestingly, the man who gave them that name, which is a technical scientific term, he believed they were the monsters that God made.
Now, going back into this guy who invented the term dinosaur, if I remember correctly, he founded a rather famous museum here in the UK, and I know you've visited that museum many times.
Yes, indeed, the London Natural History Museum. I always go there whenever I visit London. And Richard Owen, the founder and developer of that museum, wanted it to be almost a cathedral to the manifold works of the Lord, the things that God had made. Sadly, the statue that they used to have in a prominent place has been moved out of the way into a rather dark, gloomy corner, because another idea has taken over, sadly, and Charles Darwin has been put in his place.
It's a sad reality that most museums, certainly most of them in the UK now, promote this idea of millions of years of evolution. Charles Darwin is at the top at the end of the day. And one of the things that we're trying to do here is not just put evidence for creation on display, not just talk about the fossils and the evidence for Noah's flood, but also get people to think, what does the evidence actually say? Where does the evidence actually lead? And we're unashamedly Christian, Diane.
We are, yes.
And so people will also get not only the gospel message, but to learn that all things, including dinosaurs, were made by Jesus Christ. Because the Bible is emphatic throughout the Old and the New Testament that it's Jesus Christ who's the creator, that it's God the Son who is the creator of all. And especially in Colossians 1:16, it says that not only were all things made by Jesus Christ, but they were made for Jesus Christ, and it's by Jesus Christ that all things are held together. So it really is an important concept to get hold of. And when you're dealing with things like, well, we're told to worship God, aren't we? We're told to worship Christ. But if you want to worship, you need to be able to accredit all of his works to him, which is not just salvation, it's not just sustainer, but it's also the creator of all. And dinosaurs are a great way of dealing with that. One final thing before we carry on around the museum, Diane, about sort of 50 odd years ago or so, the Humanists and the Skeptics Association decided that dinosaurs were one of the best ways of convincing young people that the Bible wasn't true. Have they been successful in that?
They've been very successful. School children learn about dinosaurs. Well, even before they go to school, preschool students learn about dinosaurs. They are introduced really early, and it's always put into the context, these things lived millions of years ago. They were big and fierce, and they struggled and fought with one another, and then they died out.
So as a result of that, it has convinced young people that not only is the Bible not true, but that there is no God, and therefore there is no basis for morality. Therefore, they can do what they want. And so we really need to take back the dinosaurs.
Yes, we do. We need to reclaim the dinosaurs as the monsters that God made.
Which is what they were considered when they were first discovered by
Richard Owen and his colleagues.
So we've got loads of stuff to try and organise and do here, and we're going to be going around and looking at some of our big dinosaur skulls, our actual real dinosaur skulls, and tights and mites and all sorts of stuff. But this is going to be the place where people first see when they come in and see the great big dinosaur. Behind me here, it's currently full of stuff, and you can spot one or two of our dinosaurs around as well. This is going to be a research area. Now, Diane, I want to talk to you about research because I don't think you're involved in the research element of creation research, and this is going to be a place which is going to be, well, it's not going to be quite public, but it's going to be slightly barricaded off. But it will be a place where members of the public can come and see the research we're doing and observe what we're doing and maybe even take part in it, because this isn't just a museum to walk around and look at things. This is a working museum as well.
Right.
And we will have lots of research projects. So can you give us just a little taste of some of the research projects that have been done at some of our other museums around the world, like Jurassic Ark, for instance?
Well, Jurassic Ark is an outdoor museum. It actually started with a collection of fossils, but they were really big ones. It's actually a fossil log jam, and I mean seriously big logs, like you would see in those photos in Canadian rivers where a huge pile of logs gets washed down the river. Well,
definitely a flooding event.
That's definitely a big catastrophic event. And so that was found in this place. So we had some of those analysed in terms of, we sent them off to an expert. What sort of logs are these? It came back, they were southern pine trees. Southern pine trees actually grow in Australia, a classic living fossil. So we planted some so that people could not only come and help dig up fossils, and they can come and help dig up logs. They can see the real ones growing only a few yards away. Classic living fossils. So that was a way of teaching them about how the Bible is true. The Bible says that everything was designed to multiply after its kind, and that's exactly what's happened with these petrified logs and the southern conifers that still grow in Queensland. Then we thought, well, there are other examples of living fossils, so we'll plant some of those. So we planted cycads and palm trees. And I notice you've actually got a fossil of some cycads up here.
We have indeed,
yes.
yeah. So you've got not only got the dig sites, you've also got the botanical gardens and everything.
Yes,
Jurassic
that's
Park.
right.
But if I remember correctly, there's a specific place which is just for research. Things like the strata machines, things like the stalactite machines and stuff like that. And many of those are able to be replicated here?
Yes, they could be. So one of the things we are looking at is rapid processes, because one of the big things the evolutionists use against us is things take so long to happen. Rock layers take long. Fossils are really old. Whereas when we look at the world, we see rapid processes. So what we're trying to show people is this is real. You can we even make coal, and we have stalactites actually growing, and they grow in months, not thousands of years. We've got some experiments going with looking at how sediment is formed. The standard story is slowly and gradually, one layer at a time on top of one another. In fact, sediment forms sideways, and we can actually show that. You can sit there and watch rock layers form within minutes, because as sediment is transported by water, it's already in layers. So lots of rapid process
experiments that go into place, and so another big part of the things that we're trying to do is not just have the museum on display, but also set up so that we have the research element of it that people can come and observe and get involved with and look at, and we'll have the stalactite machines and that, but also bringing in fossils, having to glue them back together, having to clean them up, all that kind of stuff is part of what is really an active museum. So we're going to be doing that in this section, so it's again it's hands-on, public can come and actually see it. And then if you come this way a little bit more, we start to get into the main bulk of the museum. Over this side, Diane, we're going to have a big fossil shop with great big fossils for display, so you can buy your own fossils and display and evidence for creation and Noah's flood. We'll have the books and the DVDs and all the different programs that we've produced with creation research, the new documentaries and stuff like that. And just behind you, Diane, we've got what is currently a fossil storage space, but we are in the middle of organising and sorting everything out. Over here, we will eventually end up with a little cinema room which we can show stuff and put stuff on display, so that would be really, really exciting.
Yes,
so it's not just, again, it's not just a display museum, it's a centre, it's an active hub for not only research, but also facilitating teaching and information, a place for home educators and people who want to give their kids a biblical education can come here. We're going to have a lot of hands-on stuff here. It's a place where we can train interns and young people, get up training programs and stuff as well, so it's much bigger than just your average museum. In fact, Diane, I think it's about time that we head over this way and start to have a look upstairs at some of the fossils and stuff, because over the next little while we're going to continue to go through all of our collection and bring you some of the evidence that we talk about. So we've got these, we've got these fantastic, I think Diane, we ought to do a specific episode just on some of the large things, like this wonderful pterodactyl footprint that we see here.
And those ones over there as well.
Absolutely stunning, It's out here, by the way, just at the moment it's full of storage stuff, but out here we've got an open courtyard which we want to recreate a little taste of Jurassic Park with the botanical gardens and some of the animals and reptiles, and we can talk about venom and how would a good venom fit, how would venom fit into a good world, because it seems to be bad today and stuff like that. But people, once they've seen the displays and the active research down here, they can then come up these great big steps here, Diane, and it starts to take us into the main bulk of the museum, which is where all the displays will be, where the main collection is. We've got builders and electricians working up here at the moment, preparing to get all of the lighting up, but you can just get a little bit of a quick taste of the kind of expanse and the mass of fossils and artefacts. So we've got all artefacts, biblical history, which we'll take you through, stuff that's ready to go on to display. We're going to have a studio set up here. We're going to end up, this is what I'm quite excited about, this is going to be Indiana Joe's special sort of fossil hands-on site, so we get to bring out fossils and artefacts out on the table so you can come and touch and feel, because Diane, I know you've dealt with a lot of young people and stuff in the past, and I think that hands-on is such a vital thing. What's your experience of this?
Oh yes, very much so. We want to show them that God is the God of the real world. Things that they can actually see with their own eyes, pick up with their own hands, look at, explore, feel. So God is the God of the real world. So we're going to show them parts of the real world that we've brought in here. So we have fossils, we have artefacts. So Bible is real history. So real artefacts, fossils that show evidence for design, for Noah's flood, for the fact that the real history of the world is not sort of chaos to human beings, but rather it started out good. It's full of brilliantly designed things, but things have gone downhill. So, and we've got examples of those all over the place here.
And so it's an opportunity to be able to come and get hands-on. It's an opportunity to come and touch and feel the evidence and show that you don't have to be scared of the evidence. The evidence is there, and it points. I mean, at the end of the day, if what we read in God's Word is true, then what we see in God's world should match up with it, and it does beautifully.
It does. Brilliantly,
really beautifully.
Yes.
So it's not just your average museum. We've got so many fantastic things here. We've got fossils all on this side. It just gives you a bit of an idea of the immense collection, because we've still got stuff stacked up in boxes downstairs.
Yes.
So yes, by the way, Diane, in order to make this project a reality, we need supporters' help.
We do indeed. We need practical help and we need financial help.
We do indeed. It's not just for the getting hold of the fossils and that kind of stuff. It's also for actually putting stuff on display, helping with cataloguing, supporting the work and the renovation and the stuff that needs to be done here. It's for so much of this is really needs a lot of effort and a lot of work. So we do desperately need your help. So get in touch if you want to come volunteer, if you're interested in doing an internship, if you want to come help with the research or anything like that. There's so much that people can get involved with here for sure, isn't there?
Yes, whatever they're interested in, whatever skills they have, they're very welcome.
So we're very much looking forward to that, and we're going to start broadcasting creation conversations from here and doing all sorts of great stuff. So yeah, we're really looking forward to that. Well, be sure to join us in the coming weeks. We're going to try and put these out fairly regularly. A brand new topic every single time. We'll be discussing rapid fossils. We'll be discussing human evolution. We'll be discussing design and bones and artefacts and all this kind of stuff as we take Diane around and have a bit of a chat about the biological things, about the geological things, the archaeological, historical, and really what we're trying to do is get that big perspective of Jesus Christ as our creator, sustainer, and saviour, and really hone in the point that the evidence really is there if you know what to look for, and we're going to be trying to help people to show them what to look for. So Diane, remind them, how can they find out more about the work that you do and about the evidence news and all this kind of stuff?
Our main site is quite easy to remember, creationresearch.net.
Nice and simple.
Nice and simple. And that has links to our other websites. It has links to the Creation Research UK website, so you can find out what's going on in the UK. It also has links to a site that's dedicated to questions and answers. That's called Ask John Mackay. You can go directly to it, or you can go through our main site just with Q&A. And we send out a regular newsletter where, as I said before, we look at the regular scientific news and report about that, and also report about what the ministry is doing. That goes out in a newsletter. The science news items get archived. As individual items, you don't need to know when they were sent out in which newsletter, and they get archived on a website called The Fact File, where we just look
Simple
at
as that.
scientific facts. And you can get to that through our main website or go directly to a creation fact file.
So creationresearch.net is the place to go, creationresearchcentre.com to find out more about the research and the projects that we're doing here and how you can get involved. But Diane, I think we've got a lot of things to film, a lot of things to go around, so we better head off and go and do that now. Catch us next time for our first topic. We'll see you in a bit. I think we should go over here, Diane. Let's have a look at this.